It's Friday, May 26th, 2017. I'm your host, Sarah Mantle. We have a great show in store for you today. First up, we're going to chat with photographer Marie Grady-Palsick. She's going to tell us all about her work during our weekly arts and culture segment. Then we'll find out how to get an off-road beach permit for Sandy Neck Beach with Sandy Neck Division Assistant Donna Bragg. And finally, we'll chat with Hyannis Youth and Community Center General Manager Joe Izzo. All of that on this episode of Barnstable Today. But first, let's go ahead and get a look at today's top headlines. Barnstable High School students get a lesson in history during the annual Intergenerational Memorial Day breakfast. The breakfast was held at the Barnstable Senior Center this week. Marine Corps veteran Walter Watson took part. He says getting to talk to the students was a great experience.
The group that we had at the table that I was fortunate to sit at, lots of engaging questions by the students. Interesting perspectives. We had a veteran from Vietnam, myself from 1976 forward, so I'm a Cold War and Persian Gulf veteran. We had a World War II veteran and a Korean veteran. So they had a pretty good span of history from our veterans' perspective. And then I'm kind of a history buff, so I tied in a few of the other periphery stories about what was going on in the war, what our national policy was at the time during some of the stories that these other veterans spoke of. So they can piece together rather than just, well, I happen to be in this country and this is what happened to me. They were in this country for this particular reason, et cetera, et cetera. So it was fun. We had the three students that we had were very, very engaging and asked lots of nice questions and were absolutely respectful to the veterans, which you would expect. But it was wonderful. It was a good experience.
What a moving event. And just a note, on Tuesday's show, we're going to have our full coverage of that event. The town of Barnstable will host its annual Memorial Day Parade Monday. The parade will form at 9:30 a.m. at the Centerville Library and will kick off sharply at 10 a.m. That parade will proceed to Monument Square for a brief program and then head on to Beechwood Cemetery for the main program. This year's keynote speaker is First Lieutenant Glenn Beasley. Beasley served in Vietnam and Cambodia as a combat platoon leader. The John F. Kennedy Memorial Trust Fund Committee will also host a Memorial Day ceremony. The event will celebrate the centennial of John F. Kennedy's birth. During the ceremony, the JFK Memorial Trust Fund will award a $2,500 scholarship to Barnstable High School senior Daniel Loisel. The JFK Memorial event begins at 12:15 Monday at the JFK Memorial in Hyannis. Well, up next, we're going to meet photographer Marie Grady-Palsick. So thank you so much for joining me, Marie. Very excited to talk about your photography. You have some of the most beautiful photographs I have ever seen. You've taken a lot of photographs that have been used in the town of Barnstable. You did a 7 Villages series. Yeah. Talk to me about some of that work.
Well, Melissa from Arts Barnstable had contacted me and asked me to photograph the town. And so I went, there were 7 villages, and I didn't realize that, and when I went exploring to find different places to photograph that were pretty, what have you, that would make a good photograph, I realized there were similarities from each of the villages, but a lot of differences. And in an effort to come up with a way to pull it all together that would represent the town of Barnstable, but also represent each village individually, I had picked a word each week. Actually, I would pick a word. I think the first week was like church. So I would go to each village, find a church that was photogenic or, attractive in a picture, photograph that, and then bring them all together onto one image. And it represented the town of Barnstable's churches. I did it with bikes or umbrellas or, from a variety of different small, little inconsequential things to larger things such as the church or the main street or whatever. And it turned out to not only be pretty and interesting, but absolutely informative on the differences from one village to another. Never realized how many villages there were in the town.
And how unique. They each have their own spirit and their own vibe. So
exactly
they are unique. Yeah.
And yet connected.
Yes, that's true.
Amazing how much I could bring them together and yet see the differences.
Yeah, you can really spend a lot of time in Barnstable and not really get to every place and see everything you want to see. I want to talk to you too. Your artwork is featured featured on the art shanties
Right.
at Bismore Park. So if you're
Very
walking
exciting.
around and you're looking at the artist shanties, on the artist shanties there are actually some photographs that you've taken. That must be pretty cool to have your artwork featured on the art shanties.
It's amazing. It's the sevens are on there, the 7 series, and each village is on each of the shanties represents a village. So there's Cotuit, there's Centerville, etc. So each of those have all 7 come together in one image on their shanty. That didn't come out right, but I'm hoping it made sense.
Yes.
And then there's also, each village also has a lot of history. So what I had worked on was a then and now series, which is I had done a lot of research, found a lot of history on each of the villages individually, found old pictures, and then went and photographed the same place again with a new eye on it, and so you could compare. And those are on the outside of the shanties.
That is so neat. So you can really get a little bit of history when you're looking at when you're visiting the artist shanties, just by visiting the shanties themselves.
Correct.
Not just checking out the artwork inside the shanty, but also on the outside of the shanty.
It really does have the culture of each of the villages on the outside, which just communicates more about the town than I ever realized. I've been coming to the Cape for 50 or 60 years and never realized how much was there until I started looking at each of the villages individually. I think a lot of us miss that.
It's true. It's true. Even some of us who have been here a long time may not know all there is to offer. So really neat to check that out. You're also participating in the shanties.
Right.
You were in the shanties before, I believe, but you're coming back this summer.
Correct.
Tell us what dates you'll be in the shanties.
I do a June weekend, so I'm there the first weekend of June, and then I'm there for the first time this year. I'm doing a summer week, which is July 10th to the 17th, and then again in the fall, another week, which is September 11th to the 18th. And I always do the shoulder seasons, the June and the September, which I absolutely love. I've never done a summer week, but I've heard great things about them, so I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, very exciting.
Yeah.
What do you like about being in a shanty and showing your artwork? I know you have not just photographs, but you actually do some really unique and individual things with your photographs. So you put them on, you make scarves with your photographs.
Yeah, I do.
And bags or different things.
Pillows,
so you won't just have framed artwork, which you will have some framed photos available, but also some different things that people could take home with them.
Yeah, I have some manufacturers that I found that actually I upload my pictures to them and then they print it for me and then I offer it at the shanty. It's really cool. It's changed how I shoot. I photograph different. I actually shoot for a scarf or shoot for a throw pillow and absolutely love it. It makes me see Cape Cod differently again. I mean, each time as you go through an evolution, it seems, as a photographer, you find more ways to grow.
Have you ever considered making a coffee table book? Because looking at some of your images, they are absolutely stunning. The colors you have are amazing. Maybe that might be another venue for you.
I actually have looked at it. I've started it, and I was going to do a 7 series book because I thought that was just so interesting. But I haven't finished it. I got sidetracked with my manufacturers and scarves. You will.
Yeah, maybe we'll see it coming next summer.
Yeah, you will.
I want to talk to you too because you really loved the Artist Shanty program, and you're actually working with Melissa on a new project that she started last summer. I think was the first summer for the Artist Market. That's being held at Sturgis High School right here on Main Street.
Right.
So that was actually very successful as well.
It was. Oh, it was fantastic. The artists that are in the shanty they're their own community, and they really work really well together. They share opportunities, and when this opportunity became available and I heard about it, I knew I was going to be with good people. It was going to be run by good people. It was a fantastic opportunity to be right on Main Street. And I did it last year for 3 weeks in the summer and absolutely loved every minute of it. It was fantastic, and I'm so excited to be there again this summer. The end of June is when they open. It's a really good marriage with the school because it gives them an opportunity to use their building at a time when they're not being used, and it gives us an opportunity to benefit from the traffic on Main Street.
Yeah, that local traffic right there on Main Street.
Fantastic, and we get to talk to people that don't always get down to the harbor. So the amount of people that are seeing that there's local artists at the Cape and the artists are getting to talk and get their word out. It's just like a perfect marriage of a lot of different things. A lot of effort went behind it. couldn't appreciate it more, because it really does make a difference to the artists
and
to the town.
And exactly, I was just going to say, you know, the town benefits as well
Right.
from that arts and culture community. So it's a win-win situation for everyone. Well, we look forward to seeing you this summer, whether it be at Sturgis or whether it be at the Artist Shanty. We really appreciate you dropping by and can't wait to see you there.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
Thanks.
My guest today, Marie Grady-Palsick, a photographer. She's going to be featured at the Artist Shanties this year, as well as the Main Street Artist Market. Now let's find out how to get an off-road beach permit for Sandy Neck Beach with Division Assistant Donna Bragg. Joining me now on the phone, we have with us Sandy Neck Division Assistant Donna Bragg. Donna, thank you so much for joining us this morning. As we know, we're heading into the Memorial Day weekend. This is a big weekend here on the Cape, and of course for Sandy Neck. So let's talk a little bit about what we need to know before we head out to Sandy Neck this Memorial Day.
Yes, well, good morning, Sarah. And yes, it is going to be the kickoff of the season for us this weekend. We're expecting a lot of people, even though the weather may be a little iffy. It doesn't seem to be slowing people down from purchasing permits to go out onto the beach. So that's kind of what I'd like to speak about this morning. Is a lot of people call and ask, how do I get a Sandy Neck permit?
Well, and
so
that's
this
true
would
because
be the time to do that.
That's right, but you do need to get a Sandy Neck permit to go off-roading. You really do need some specialty equipment. You have a checklist of items that you have to have with you. You have to know how to do, because you can't just go out, you can't just take your car out on the beach. You really have to have a certain type of vehicle, and definitely you need some certain equipment. What equipment do we need?
Right. Well, this is, we actually have it on the website, which people can look at www.sandyneckbeachpark.com. We actually have cards that we hand out to folks if they come to the gatehouse. And the last thing that we do is if people call us, but that kind of takes a little bit of time, so it'd be better off if they knew ahead of time. If we're, excuse me, if we have the card right in front of me here, so they have to have a good spare tire. And I know that the new vehicles now have the smaller tires, the spares, but as long as it's a 3/4 size tire, we will pass that, just not the hard donut ones. They have to remember they've got to air these things down also if they get a flat tire. The next piece of equipment they're going to need is a towing device. And we have that listed minimum length of 15 feet. The better the towing device, the better off you are. What we need people to remember is that these items of equipment are for them, because I can tell you if they have to call a towing company to come out on the beach, that's a really good way to ruin any kind of a weekend.
Oh,
it's
yes.
a very expensive proposition. So the towing device can either be a rope, a strap, a chain, cable, or a mounted winch. And we do have the specific sizes for those. And again, people can look at the card or give us a call or look at the website. A standard jack is great, and most cars have their jacks. I know that some people have the scissors jacks. Don't work so well on the sand because the sand gets in them and will clog them up. This is the big one coming up here. This is the one that trips everybody up. Excuse me, a support board, minimum size of 18 by 18 inches, 3/4 inch plywood. It can't just be a stick from your garage. It has to be plywood or 1/4 inch thick steel. And then a shovel, heavy duty, equal to military folding type or better. This is something else I want to talk about. The military shovels we do pass, but you have to think about what you're going to be using these shovels for. So if your car is stuck, chances are you're up to your axles in sand. And if you're using a military folding shovel, it's a really tiny one, and that's like using a teaspoon. So what I suggest to people is they get themselves a nice flat shovel with a longer handle so they can dig up underneath there.
Okay, great, because you really want to be ready. If you get stuck in that sand, you really want to be ready to dig yourself out. And it may take some time, and like you said, you don't want a little shovel to get, you want to get the job done.
Exactly. And the little shovels are great if you're going to be digging a fire pit for fires later on in the evening. But for actually digging big volumes of sand, not going to happen. And the last thing that they need is a tire gauge, but it's going to be a low pressure type, because our maximum that we allow people to have in their tires is 18 psi. So if you have a 20 on your tire gauge, you'll be guessing. So you want to get down to 10 as far as the minimum for the tire gauge. And a lot of people get the fancy ones, the ones that are battery operated and they're digital, and that's all well and good. So as long as they have them.
It's so important to have, because I have actually seen someone tried to take a minivan out on Sandy Neck, which first of all, we know that's not a good vehicle to drive out there on the sand with, but
right.
Also I think they didn't necessarily follow the rules and take the air down in the tires, and they did get stuck, and it created a very big roadblock for a lot of people trying to get off the beach. So really important that you follow the rules, because it is just for your safety and everyone else's safety, really.
Absolutely, and it's for your enjoyment too. There's nothing worse than getting somebody stuck on the access trail on a holiday weekend, and people may be a little bit angry that are behind you because they can't get out there. So, and it causes the staff to have to try to figure out how to get them off there. So once they have all these pieces of equipment, Sarah, then it's time for them to come to the gatehouse. And once they get here with the items of equipment, we put them over in an inspection area, and we make sure that they have these items. And then they'll come into the gatehouse, and this is kind of important. They need a current license, current registration, and if it's a leased vehicle, we're going to make a copy of the lease also, because we don't have any rental vehicles that can go out on Sandy Neck. But if they are leased for a closed-end lease, that's perfectly acceptable.
Great. So this is a process. It takes a couple steps. Important that people know that as they head to the gatehouse. And this is not something you're singling certain individuals out. Everybody has to go through this process. You have to check those items, have to come into the office and fill out all the forms. It's just how it works, right?
That's correct. And then we provide them a current tide chart and the rules and regulations, which on the rules and regulations right on the front cover is the gatehouse number for emergencies and if they have any questions while they're out on the beach. And speaking of the tide charts, very important for folks to take a look at the tide charts, because this weekend we've got some pretty high tides coming in, over 12 feet. And what that will do is pinch off quite a bit of the beach. So if you are coming out when the tide is really high, there's a chance you won't get out there until the tide turns and starts to go back out. But if you're already out there, you want to make sure that you're in a safe place so the tide doesn't go. You don't want the tide, lapping at your tires, for sure.
Absolutely. Something very important to keep in mind as we go out there. What about a curfew? Is there a curfew on the beach? How long can you be out on the beach? I know some people, and does anyone stay over? How does that work?
Yeah, right. So the park opens at 8 a.m. You cannot be on the beach before 8 a.m. And then we have campers, self-contained vehicles, and they go through a special process also. They need a little bit more equipment than what we call day trippers, the vehicles that go out there, the trucks and the Jeeps. Campers can stay out there once they have their permit. They pay a little extra per night in order to stay out there, so they're the only ones that we have out there overnight. But for the basic people that are coming for the day, they come at 8 a.m., and then they have to leave by 11 p.m., and which is like a long time for them to get to enjoy the beach. So we have an air station when they come off the beach. They can air their tires up. So we'll have our officers, our natural resource officers, go out and do a curfew run and let them know it's time to pack up and get ready to head out and get off the beach. And so then once they do that, then they'll be welcome back the next day at 8 a.m., but they cannot stay overnight in just a regular vehicle. They have to be in a camper.
Great. Well, thank you. Anything else we need to know before we head to Sandy Neck this weekend?
Just have a little bit of patience. It should be a busy weekend, and we're going to instruct everybody. We've got fencing out there. Speed limit's going to be 5 miles an hour, and we are open to Trail 6 right now, currently, for the time being. And so that's a nice long beach to have this weekend, and we're looking forward to everybody coming out.
Awesome. Can't wait to see you out there, I got to say. It's my favorite beach, I think.
Well, thank
really
you.
Enjoy
We're looking
it.
forward to seeing you.
All right. Thanks, Donna. We really appreciate it. Have fun this weekend.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Our guest today, Donna Bragg, she's the division assistant at Sandy Neck Beach. The Hyannis Youth and Community Center is gearing up for its annual bike rodeo. We're going to learn more during our interview with General Manager Joe Izzo. So, Joe, very excited about the bike rodeo that's coming up. What can you tell us about this event?
I can tell you it's going to be an awesome event. It is on Saturday, June 10th from 11 to 1. I can tell you that the sun will be shining. There'll be lots of kiddies on their bicycles out in front of the HYCC, and it is going to be just a really, really fun, festive atmosphere, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
And I see here, too, the first 50 kids get free bike helmets.
Yes, yeah, we're working with the Kiwanis Club here in Hyannis. And they've secured a donation for some bike helmets, and those guys do awesome work, and we're so happy to be teaming up with them again this year. And they have a bunch of bike helmets that they'll be giving out to folks free of charge.
And then what's really great, too, is if you bring your bike, their C Sports is going to be on hand to check out your bike and make sure everything is running smoothly as it should be.
Definitely, yeah. We encourage folks and kids and families to bring their bicycles out, and we'll do a couple of fun games on bicycles and obstacle courses and slow speed races and just a bunch of cool stuff. So if you can bring your bike, great. We'll put it to use out there. And if you cannot bring your bike and you just want to come and check it out, you're definitely welcome to do that too, because there's going to be lots of stuff for everyone in the family to do.
That's right. And then the Hyannis Fire Department is going to be there. Joe, what are they going to be contributing?
They, aside from their just usual sunny dispositions and great times, they'll be interacting with folks, and I think they're going to have a truck here and do kind of like a mini touch-a truck and answer questions and make sure that there's safety rules being adhered to, and just out part of the fun festive day.
Wonderful.
Same with the Barnstable Police Department as well. They'll be doing much of the same stuff, and I think we should, fingers crossed, have a couple of officers on their bicycles, so folks can come out and take a look at the bikes that the police officers ride and kind of kick the tires on those babies and see what's the same and what's the different on your bike.
And then if parents need it, they'll also be on hand to check car seats and make sure they're installed properly.
Yeah. Another opportunity. I know that they do that at the stations. You can bring your vehicle to the fire department or to the police department, and they'll check out the seats for you. But we wanted to make it a one-stop shop here, and if folks have questions when they want their seats checked out, to make sure that they're installed properly and keeping your precious cargo safe, the folks from the fire department and police department will be happy to do that for you right here at the HYCC.
Awesome. Can't wait for this event. This, of course, happening June 10th. Very excited.
Yeah.
All free to attend, right?
All free. All free.
We like that word.
Definitely.
Free is the best four-letter word. Let's talk about, I want to ask you a little question. So everyone is probably realizing all of a sudden that they need their new beach sticker before they head out and enjoy the holiday weekend. So let's talk about it, because town offices are going to be closed on Monday. What does that mean for beach sticker sales?
That means that beach sticker sales here at the HYCC on Monday, Memorial Day, which is the 29th of May, our building, the facility for programming, is closed. Unfortunately, you can't use the walking track or the gym or the ice surfaces. But what you can do, Sarah, is still get your beach sticker here in the lobby from 9 in the morning until 12. For those hours, we are open and processing beach stickers. So if you're in a rush and want to get to the beach on Memorial Day and you don't have your sticker yet, you can come out and see us from 9 to 12 and get your sticker.
That's really good news, Joe, because I haven't gotten that done yet.
Well,
I'm procrastinating this year. I don't know what it is.
Well, we have hours this weekend. We're open all weekend for beach permits. On Saturday, we're available from 9 in the morning until 4 in the afternoon. And then on Sunday, it's from 9 to noon. And as I said, on Monday, Memorial Day, it's also from 9 to noon.
Awesome. And then one last thing before I let you go, I want to talk a little bit about the Cape Cod Chowder Classic. This is a hockey tournament, I think, for women.
It sure is, yeah, adult women. This is, I want to say at least their 6th or 7th year hosting the event here at the HYCC, and it happens right around this time every year, usually the end of May, beginning of June, and it's a bunch of adult women from all over New England will come out and participate in this tournament. And I think this year we have just under 30 games that are scheduled to take place from Friday the 2nd through Sunday the 4th of June. So, it's just a really cool event. Everyone's happy and having a good time, and they don't take it too seriously, but just serious enough so that it's fun, competitive games. And that event is free, so if anybody wants to come in and check it out and see what it's all about, it's definitely free. You can come in and watch and maybe ask some questions of the participants. I know they're always looking to grow the game. especially with the adult women. If they can get more people involved and more people who want to participate, the more the merrier.
Sounds good, Joe. Well, thank you for telling us everything that's happening at the Hyannis Youth and Community Center. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, sure. Anytime. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I look forward to seeing you in the lobby for your beach sticker.
Oh, I'll be there. Thanks, Joe.
You're welcome.
Talk to you soon.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Our guest today, General Manager of the HYCC, Joe Izzo. Now let's find out what's happening around town in today's community calendar. The Centerville Civic Association will host its 34th Memorial Day Pancake Breakfast on Monday. The breakfast begins at 8 a.m. and goes until 11 a.m. Adults are $7 and kids 12 and under are just $4. Kids under the age of 3 are free. Well, there are no board, committee, or commission meetings today, but a reminder, all town offices, including the transfer station, will be closed Monday, May 29th in observance of Memorial Day. Thanks so much for tuning in today. We're going to be back Tuesday with another great show for you. On Tuesday's show, we will chat with Chief of Police Paul McDonald. We'll check in with DPW Director Dan Santos, and we're going to have in-depth coverage of the intergenerational Memorial Day breakfast that was held this week at the Barnstable Senior Center. For Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Mannel.